Welcome to day 12 of the 30-day video challenge and the story of me. Today we're going to go on a fun journey, which is the awesome, fantastic story of how I proposed to my awesome fiance, Christy. And so one of the screensavers that we have, it went dark there, on my phone is this gentleman on this side is Mr. Calum Scott. And Calum Scott is an up-and-coming artist. He was on Britain's Got Talent, is where he first got discovered, and has been growing ever since. Right now, he's currently the opening act for Ed Sheeran over in Europe. So Christy and I went to see one of her favorite groups, which is Pentatonics, and Calum Scott opened up for her, and that's how we first discovered him, and that happened to be one of our first dates. So it was kind of special, obviously, going to a concert and having that first date, but then also learning about this new artist. And so every song that he sang, we both just instantly fell in love with, came home, got the whole album and put it on repeat and listened to it for a long time. And since he's had a couple others, and we definitely fell in love with one song in particular, which is called Flaws. And Flaws is a great thing. It talks about how, I wish you saw yourself through my eyes, because you have a tendency to put yourself down and feel negative, and you're beautiful. And so it was definitely very fitting. It almost felt like he wrote it for Christy and I. And so that was a really special song. Well, after that event, we discovered that he was coming back and opening for the script. And so Christy's a huge fan of the script as well. And the fact that Calum was opening made it even better. So we went and saw him there. During that concert, started making my brain work a little bit. And I'm like, how cool would it be if I could get Calum to help propose to Christy? And so I said, well, he's here now on concert. He probably won't be back for a couple of years. So, let's think about it. Well, lo and behold, discovered that he actually was coming back that fall. And so I had about 6 months of planning in order to put this together. And unbeknownst to me at the time, it took all 6 months. So there were quite a few steps. And for privacy matters, I'm not able to discuss all of them because I have learned since why celebrities need their privacy, and that there are a lot of people out there that are a little, let's say, off kilter and a little obsessive. And if they got a hold of the information that I got a hold of to reach Calum, that they would definitely abuse it and hassle and harass him. So, in short, I started reaching out, and so I went to his manager, I went to his publicist. He's based in the UK, and so he has an English team, or a team from England and a team in the US. So I was reaching out to both of them. So there was about 2 or 3 months of emails going out in every direction, and I heard nothing back. And so going back to the concept of who I am and the honey badger and not giving up, I found some other resources and actually started digging into interviews that he had done and looking for information of how to contact him. And in a particular interview, I found a way that I could get a hold of him indirectly, and that became my go-to. So reached down to this in-between person that was the go-between us, and they said, hey, I reached out to his team, and they're aware of what you're asking, and they said that sounds great. They would love to do something, and so they'll reach out to you. Well, 2 or 3 more months goes by, and nothing. Show's coming up. It's about a month before the show. It's still nothing. A week before the show, still nothing. So we keep reaching out to the in between, and at the same time, I'm trying to realize this is a humongous ultimate event in my life, but to Calum Scott, who is touring the world, and his crew, it's just an event. And so they're focused on where they're at in the city. They basically are jumping from city to city almost every single night, traveling all over North America. And now again, they're all the way over in Europe. And actually, I think he's in Taiwan right now. So he's doing lots of busy things. So it's not as big a deal to him. Anyway, we get to the day before the concert, and I still haven't heard anything. And I'm like, all right, I've tried everything. I don't think it's going to happen. So I have plan B and plan C and plan D in place of how we're going to do this. Well, then that morning, I got a message through Facebook that from the resource or contact that I had that, hey, the manager's going to be reaching out to call or to contact you to set something up tonight. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen. So I had my phone glued to me all day and nothing was coming through. And so I'm just like, oh man, what are we going to do? How is this going to work? And so finally it was time to go to the show and I still hadn't heard anything. So we're in the car, and as with technology, I am a pretty big techno geek. My phone attaches to my car. So as we're driving down, my phone rings. Of course, Christy's right next to me. And the caller ID is an international number. So I'm not able to answer the phone because Christy's right there. So I hit, disconnect or send a voicemail. And I'm like, what are these spammers? And I'm trying to play it off because she can see the number on the screen as well. And so we finally get to the parking lot, and now I'm all despondent thinking I blew the opportunity. They called. I wasn't able to answer. Now it's all blown. Well, it ended up being the road manager, and he left a message. So as we got out of the car, I heard the voicemail and learned it was him. So now my mind is racing of how the heck do I get this done? And so I tell Christy, I'm like, oh, this is actually, somebody from Tesla, because I drive a Tesla, and we're trying to get this fixed. So I need to call them back. So I call him back and I get his voicemail because he's getting ready for the concert. So we're standing in line waiting for the show, and now he texts me. So I'm sitting here trying to text him back without showing Christy the message. So again, that she has no idea. So to step back a bit in the story, she is clueless that this is about to happen. So this is all a 100% surprise. And so we finally go into the show. And then I, again, try not to lose my mind as I'm standing there. It's at St. Andrew's Hall. If you haven't been to St. Andrew's Hall, it's a standing room only concert hall. So we're standing there waiting for the show to start, and all of a sudden my phone dings. And I look, and the message says, "Hi, Denny, this is Calum. I'm on my manager's phone." So I'm trying not to lose my mind that I'm actually talking to the guy, and then trying to play it cool so that she doesn't see what's going on, but at the same time not messaging back and forth so that tips her off that something's going on. So he basically said, well, how do you want to do this? And messages went back and forth. And so we tried to finally figure it out. And so I told him, this is our song. This would be great if you could do this. I'd be happy, and so we had multiple issues to deal with because, again, this was about a year or two ago. We were just coming out of COVID. Concerts were starting up again, but artists still have COVID protocols, meaning that the band generally is not allowed to interact or meet with people because they might pick something up and then spread it on tour. So he's like, I don't know if we'll be able to bring you up on stage. I don't know, how do you want to do this? Blah, blah. And I'm like, however you want to do it, I'm good. You let me know. And so he's like, okay, it's the 5th song in the set, and I'll put this together. So lo and behold, the song started, and we're standing there, and all of a sudden he started telling the story of Flaws. It's truly about his sister. And again, she really felt that she wasn't attractive or wasn't a person that was likable. And that's what he wrote the song about. So as he was explaining that, but then he says, hey, but I got a text this morning, and where's Denny Strecker? And so all of a sudden I'm jumping up, so because there's about 1,000 people in this hall. And so I'm like, right here, sir. And so lo and behold, suddenly a spotlight comes down. So they must have been ready for us. And he's like, yeah, and you're here with Christy. Well, Denny, Christy, Denny has a question for you. And the whole auditorium just erupts. The whole hall just goes crazy. And fortunately, we got all of this on video. So I will post a link to the video below this or attach it somewhere along here where you can see it if you want to see the actual proposal. And it was definitely a huge accomplishment. So I think it's an important story or a good story to tell from the aspect of honey badger and never giving up and always believing that I can make something happen no matter what the odds are. And then one of the most beautiful things about it was after I proposed, you'll see at the end of the video, he actually comes down to hug us. And so just seeing how invested he was just took it over the top for both of us. And then we got to do a meet and greet afterwards. We got to meet with him, and he's just a phenomenal man, just so humble and just purely good-hearted. So once again, I'll put the video if you want to see the actual proposal, and definitely a huge feather in my cap and an accomplishment to the things we did, let alone talk about the confidence needed. Can you imagine proposing in front of 1,000 people? And so they had the microphone and all that stuff. So it was definitely a moment that I will always treasure. I know Christy will always treasure, and we'll have stories to tell forever, which is why we're sharing it with you now. So that takes care of day 12, and a very, very heartfelt and important story to share in the story of me. Now go ahead, go watch the proposal video, and have a great night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.